People have been fascinated with the horror genre for centuries, and with the birth of film, monsters and murderers got the chance to come to life on the big screen.
Oh, you are sick.
Directors have tried to induce fear in their audiences with mixed results.
Plan on murdering me in my sleep?
What? No!
And out of the horrible, gory soup of the horror film industry have come two iconic horror giants, Alfred Hitchcock and James Wan. Both directors have been hailed by critics. Hitchcock named the master of suspense for creating some of the world's favorite thrillers, and James Wan as a nouveau director who some are saying is the new master of horror. While both directors have developed horror in their own ways, there are some similarities and differences between their styles. So let's take a look at what they do differently and what they do the same. At first glance, these two directors couldn't seem more different, but Wan and Hitchcock share at least two techniques to add tension and drama to their scenes. The first is performed in the editing room. By using quick cuts, Hitchcock and Wan unsettle the subconscious of their audiences. Both directors chose to make these cuts because quick editing has the ability to disorient the audience's spatial understanding of a scene. The director forces you to look at this thing, then that thing, and what's over there, and so on, to create confusion. Quick cuts also create a sense of urgency and haste, so not only is the information they are showing you confusing, it's coming at you so fast that it stresses you out and simulates suspense and fear. Hitchcock and Wan also exercise giving information indirectly, limiting the view of the audience and creating a claustrophobic atmosphere. One of Hitchcock's most famous examples of indirect viewing is in his movie Rear Window, where the main character, L.B. Jeffries, spies on his neighbor with a huge telephoto lens. Here, in Wan's The Conjuring, Lorraine Warren looks for a ghost with a tiny mirror and a flashlight. Through their use of indirect viewing, both directors are limiting the visual information they give, forcing the audience to see what is happening through a frame that the director has absolute control over. Of course, while Hitchcock and Wan may use the same tried and true horror movie techniques, some of which Hitchcock pioneered, both directors are known for doing horror in their own ways. Hitchcock has a penchant for suspense. It's what he's best known for, and oftentimes he does it through the power of implication. Let's see how he uses implication in Vertigo. And The Birds. And of course, Psycho. Hitchcock, throughout his career, hardly ever used jump scares or gore to freak out his audience. He guided their imaginations so their minds would fill in the gaps, altogether creating a very effective experience. Hitchcock is also known for his use of shadows. Shadows have been used in cinema for years, but Hitchcock uses shadows to draw attention to a specific part of the scene, like in Rear Window. In Strangers on a Train, Hitchcock uses shadows to send subliminal messages as to the true nature of his characters.
Ask me anything. I got the answer. Even news about people I don't know. Like, who would like to marry whom?
You tell me which one's the villain. In all of these examples, Hitchcock is using subtle techniques to unsettle his audience, deliver subconscious messages to their minds through lighting and angles. But James Wan is a very different sort of director. In most of his films, he relies heavily on unsettling supernatural imagery, ghosts and demons that look scary, something Hitchcock would never do. Wan uses them in many different ways. They can just appear without ceremony, give off the creepy vibe, and of course, do the catch-all jump scare. Wan designs his monsters to be the focus of his movie's scares. Usually the spirits look gory and decayed or otherworldly to reflect their contempt toward the living and their desire to do harm to the main characters. One of Wan's other trademarks is his practice of inserting creepy dolls into his movies. Why? More than a handful of people share a fear of dolls. Automatonophobia is defined as the fear of anything that falsely represents a sentient being. This can apply to scarecrows, mannequins, animatronics, and, of course, the childlike doll. There are theories as to why, like the uncanny valley and Freudian psychology, but what's important is that Wan has picked a specific kind of reoccurring object that genuinely creeps people out. Of course, there are many aspects of Wan's movies that haven't been covered. His long tracking shots, use of modern horror soundtracks, and his color choices all contribute to the fear factor in his movies. And the same goes for Hitchcock. To analyze everything that goes into one of his thrillers would take a video much longer than this one. So to determine which style you personally prefer, the subtle, subconscious unease of Alfred Hitchcock or the dark and disturbing imagery of James Wan, watch their movies and see which scares you the most this Halloween season.